Hi, I'm Lisa Garr, host of The Aware Show. Have you ever felt ungrounded by the barrage and the chaos of negativity in the world? You've heard the Gandhi quote, "Be the change you want to see in the world." Then why are we so on edge and uneasy and often feel like we're not doing enough? Well, what if there is a way to calm and center yourself amidst all of this chaos? And there is. It is an ancient technique that's been scientifically proven to lower blood pressure and increase focus, and it's called meditation. Joining me is Tarika Lovegarden, a meditation instructor for Stanford's Health Improvement Program, and has guided meditations for a range of organizations, including Google and eBay and Oracle and many more. And she is joining us to talk us about the benefits of meditation. So tell me about that. What are some of the benefits of meditation?
Well, like you just mentioned, the most obvious ones would be lowering blood pressure, stress reduction, calming yourself, becoming centered in different situations in your life. And then we go on to really a practice in discovering who you are, discovering your deeper nature. So the more surface level, you're releasing tension and stress on the body-mind. You might clear your mind, you might work on attention and focus. Those are some of the most immediate benefits. And then as you go deeper, you might work on transforming emotions, connecting with your deeper needs, connecting with what's really important to you in your life, your values, really having a place of direction, purpose. So there's many benefits to meditation. I think it really depends on your focus and what you're using it for.
What you want it for. How long have you been teaching meditation?
I've been teaching for 25 years.
Wow.
So I was born into meditation.
You're not 25, right? That's awesome. You were. Tell me about that. Your parents were meditation teachers?
Yeah, my parents were meditation teachers. They've trained me since I was a little girl. So I literally grew up meditating with my parents, and then also at a very early age. My first group I led when I was 14, guiding others. So the training was my own practice, transforming my own consciousness, and then also learning how to work with others to help others transform their consciousness.
What was that like? You were meditating at like 3? You all sat down and I mean, how do you quiet your mind at 3?
Well, you know, when you're young, you absorb a lot, and it's not so difficult. You're extremely susceptible and receptive at that age. So even in my mother's womb, she was meditating and listening to classical music and doing heart meditations. Our focus is
That's what it is.
Heart-centered. And so a lot of times it's more integrated into your life, you know, how you see things or your perspective on things. Or my parents raised me with a tremendous amount of freedom. They didn't impose anything upon me, not even meditation. So it's one of the things, even from a very early age, I had an incredible clarity on that this was my path. And it's the only thing in my entire life that I've never had a moment's doubt about. You know, I've had doubt about the business of meditation, all the stuff that I have to do around it. I've had lots of challenges on that level of how to really make it more available to more people. But in terms of my own practice, my own meditation, never a moment's doubt. So part of my parents in the way they raised me was bringing out the best in me, not imposing things upon me, so that I could actually get to know, well, who am I at a deeper level?
And that's the way. Did you ever try to do something else, or had you always known that you would be a meditation teacher?
I've always known that meditation would be the center of my life.
That's neat.
You know,
That's great.
Who I teach, where I teach, how I teach, that has always changed, and that's based on the demand and the receptivity and the opportunities that come my way.
But getting people to know that they need meditation in their life has been the biggest challenge.
I think so. I think it's only more recently that mainstream has recognized a real need, almost a desperation for the benefits of meditation.
Let's talk about that. Well, let's talk about that. Why? I mean, you teach at places like Google and Stanford, and you have these environments where people tend to be very cerebral, or they're in high-pressured situations. What is the need for meditation in those environments?
Well, in companies and corporations, it's very much driven by their goals, what they want to accomplish within the organizations.
Right.
They're hiring me for a particular purpose, so I need to service that, which, you know, in general is for employees to have a better work-life balance so that they perform better when they are engaged in work, for employees to have more fulfillment in their work, to spend more time expressing their strengths and less time in their weaknesses. There's a lot of work around team building. You know, competition is a high value and it's celebrated and encouraged, but then there's aspects of competition that are very destructive.
Right.
To collaborative teams, for example. So we might work on some of those elements.
How do you prove that it works? I'm sure that these companies want you to increase productivity or team bonding. How does that work with something that is so personal as meditation? How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, because I guide a meditation and there might be a room of 30, 40 people. And even though I'm guiding the exact same meditation with the exact same focus and desired outcome, every single person reports an entirely different experience to the meditation. So it's still, I think, in its early stages of corporations really adopting it and prioritizing that. You're still not getting 9 a.m., 8 a.m., we start work with a meditation, which ultimately would be they might, you know, everyone would function better because, like you said, they're very analytical, which is excellent. I work with some of the most extraordinarily intelligent human beings on earth. Truly, I'm blessed with my clients and the people that I work with. But the measurement of intelligence is only in certain areas, typically. And what meditation does is it gives you access to the full range of your intelligence. So that might look different for each person in a corporate meditation. You know, someone might really have a blindness related to their emotional intelligence. They're extremely reactive, but they're brilliant in another realm. So a meditation for that person might be really just learning to pay attention to what they feel in that moment, or develop the resilience to process emotions without being reactive, or
so you really focus.
Empathy. Yeah, what depending on, so I work with leadership teams, and there's generally a leader of the leaders that I would closely work with on accomplishing whatever. Mainly it's their offsites, their team offsites. So it's a dedicated time away from their regular work. And then it's whatever that team leader feels is necessary for the team. So we're generally working on their weaknesses because they're spending a lot of money on these people. So it would be, so I'm very supportive of the leader, but then meditation targets the issues from different angles, because in a corporate leader might be more performance-based and look at the statistics and how, you know, the numbers, look at it on a very analytical level, whereas in meditation it gives you more time to assimilate all the information, to look at things from a different perspective. There's a lot of problem solving, for example.
What about creativity?
Creativity is huge.
Huge.
Creativity and innovation, because meditation is all about being in the moment, living here now.
Okay.
And creativity is only born out of the now.
Oh, that's true.
Because it's never been done before. How do you come up with something entirely new? It's when you're in the moment, receptive. You know, whenever I create a meditation, for example, it's a birth, giving birth to
At the
something.
moment.
Right.
At the moment.
Right. And a certain degree of channeling something greater. And the same, you need certain elements in the workplace and how you utilize creativity or opening your vision, for example. You know, Steve Jobs was an incredible visionary.
Yes.
You know, how did he see something that had never been done before that so many people would have interest in?
Did he spend a lot of time in meditation?
Yes. Steve Jobs was a meditator. So a lot of the geniuses, you know, you really get to a genius level when you utilize and access the full range of your intelligence.
Yes.
And then that's only half of it. So the first step is, you know, discovering your deeper nature, discovering your strengths, discovering your essential qualities, answering the question, who am I? That's the universal question that any meditative tradition is answering. Who am I? Mm-hmm. Beyond my thoughts, beyond my body, beyond the range of emotions that come and go, beyond all the societal influences, beyond the values of others, you know, that are put upon us. Who is Tarika? Who is Lisa? You know, we're answering that question every time we go into meditation. So that's part of it. So even in the workplace,
before you even go to the focus.
Yeah, we don't.
Anything.
Yeah, right. And then
Who am I?
exactly.
That's great.
Yeah, and then the next step is, well, how do you express your creativity in, you know, whether you're writing a book or giving an interview or managing a big corporation, managing teams of people.
But you have to know that who am I piece first.
Right.
So when you go into meditation, what is your answer to who am I?
Well, that's a lifelong journey.
That's great. That's a
and
great
it's
answer.
fantastic and it's beautiful. And, you know, I meditate every day. I design meditations for others. I guide groups and individuals. And still, every single meditation I guide, every time I sit down to meditate myself, there's no repetition. It's always a fresh, new discovery of, well, who am I in this moment? Who am I in this moment?
So you
Who
look
am I in
forward to
moment?
this.
I love it. It's the most exciting thing.
Exciting. Meditation's exciting.
For me, it is.
Well, of course, and I love your enthusiasm around it. And what about someone who does have a really, really busy mind or a very active mind?
That's a good
To
question.
get to that place, most people would think it's just sitting there and emptying your thoughts. Is that true?
That is the most common idea.
Misperception?
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, whenever I work with beginners, I work with a range of people, and in groups, there's always someone that comes in and says, I've never meditated, or whenever I try to meditate, I can't stop my mind, or I fall asleep. Yeah. So that's the two problems: overactive mind, and then wandering mind, spacing out, daydreaming, falling asleep. And how I guide someone, first of all, the most important thing is not to resist your thoughts.
You just notice them?
So, yeah. So if you start trying to silence your mind, there's no way out. You're creating a problem of something that isn't even a problem, and you're just stuck in mind.
Silencing.
Trying to fix mind. So you're stuck in mind. So you're trying to get out of mind, but you don't get out of mind. So we don't focus directly on the thoughts. What I would guide a person in is becoming aware of that which is beyond thought. And the reason our approach always begins with the heart is because the heart gives you easy access to your center, which is always calm, which is always at peace. Even when you're engaged in nonstop thinking, at your center, there's a deep, silent peace.
That's what
within
you get in touch
you.
with.
So it's really a matter of awareness. Are you aware of the surface of the busyness of your mind, or are you aware of the depth and calm of your inner being? So in your heart creates an atmosphere of non-judgment. It's very neutral. It gives your awareness a very neutral quality. It's very warm. It's enjoyable.
No, I think that some people would say that's not true. You would say that's true. But a lot of people have self-judgment. And
Right.
getting over that hurdle is the toughest part.
They have self-judgment, and that's precisely why you need to access your heart. Because if you just become aware of the judgment in your mind, and mind, the nature of mind is judgmental. You're
Yes.
constantly evaluating.
That's what I meant.
Before you
Yes.
even see before you even get to know someone, you've created a bunch of perceptions and ideas based on the color of their hair and what, the look in their eyes and this and that,
Yeah.
right? There's a huge amount of information that you're judging based on good and bad and right and wrong and your past experiences and, oh, she reminds me of so-and-so and now I don't even look at Lisa. I'm thinking of Jennifer that I met 20 years ago.
Yes, yes. All
Right.
of this happens when you meet
Right.
someone. Yes,
And-
all the time.
For others, right?
Yes.
And the same is true for yourself.
Yes.
And that's why if you become aware from judgment, you're not helping yourself, you're hurting yourself because judgment is painful.
So when you become aware of the judgment, you're hurting yourself?
Yeah, if you become aware of aspects of yourself,
Okay.
and it is immediately linked to judgment.
Yes.
If your awareness is, oh, I don't like that about myself, and I should be more of this, and I'm not good enough there, and this is wrong, and that's not going to help you. It's just going to make you feel worse about yourself, and what happens is parts of yourself hide because it's painful.
Yeah.
So then your awareness is narrowed because you try to shut off and look away from what's painful within you. Versus the heart gives you the capacity to let judgments be there, but it's connecting you to a space of self-love, of self-acceptance, of self-respect, of valuing, of recognizing, wow, Tarika does show up a certain way. Lisa does show up a certain way. You know, you recognize your unique contributions in the world. You're less focused on what's wrong with you and you're more focused on what's essential. And that's really the miracle of awareness, is it shrinks everything negative in you.
Yeah, it makes it so much smaller.
Right.
And the awareness is so expansive.
Right.
And love is so expansive.
Right.
And chaos is so small.
Right.
It's constrictive.
Right.
Even your hands, when you were talking about that, you were talking about this part and then the expansive of awareness.
Right.
If you really look at it, the true heart is truly expansive, and as you said, that's the nature of the heart. Everything else that we look at as the busy mind or chaos, they're all very, very constrictive thoughts. So that's the path towards creativity, is getting out of this constriction and into the expansion of the being and the heart, right?
Well, the path of creativity, I mean, it would depend on what are you creating, you know.
If you want to access creativity, or if someone has
If you want to
block.
if you want to access creativity, you might become aware of some of the things that are preventing you from accessing your creativity, like common mindsets like I'm not good enough. And then you would tap into your natural strengths of how do you express creativity. So in cooking, someone might express creativity using elaborate spices, and an artist might express creativity using oils or dance, or, you know, your unique ways. You would get in touch with your unique ways of being creative in your life. And then beyond the regular ideas of creativity, you know, like art and dance and cooking and,
Right.
you know, creation, were really what creativity helps you do is respond to your life situations and your challenges and the most painful moments in your life in a new way. And that's critical. And that's the foundation of meditation. One of them, you could say, no matter what our focus is we're not wanting to just repeat, same
Right.
old, same old,
That is
you
key.
know.
What you just said is key.
Right.
How to respond to your life in a new way.
each moment fresh, new,
Wow,
creatively.
over and over again. When it comes to health challenges, you
Yes.
have to respond to your health in a new way at every moment so that you can recreate health, right?
Yes.
Same with work, business. You have to respond in a new way.
Yeah, I mean, health is a little, health you might need to address on a purely physical level. But what you're saying is true, that your response to your health condition, how you feel about it, how you handle it, absolutely. Yes.
Well, I mean, if someone has you wrote this great book called Meditations on the Fridge.
Yes.
And so in this book, you talk about the healthy body mindset, right?
Yes.
And so tell me a little bit about this and how this relates to health and eating and why you wrote the book.
Okay. So that's a big topic. Okay, so I'll start with why I wrote the book.
Yes.
I've always struggled with food. That was one of the things. I grew up with a tremendous amount of freedom, but I also lacked stability. And I was alone a lot. And I went to an international boarding school in England, so I spent most of the time away from my parents rather than with my parents. So food became a crutch for me, self-soothing, a way to deal with my loneliness and insecurities and just being constantly put in new situations in different cultures with new people without knowing anyone or anything.
The language sometimes.
Yeah, most of the time, yeah.
Wow.
So, of course, everything in life gives you opportunities to develop certain strengths. Like it became highly adaptive and just deep, rich understanding of different cultures from a very early age. But then the things that every child needs, like the guidance and the support on very basic things, wasn't there. So food was a thing that I used to deal with my emotions, to deal with my unmet needs, to deal with my loneliness, all that kind of thing.
Interesting, yeah.
So I decided to bring my greatest strengths of meditation to my most painful issue, food. And I felt like, why not help the rest of the world heal from these issues in the process? So this book is an incredibly practical way. I've broken it down. How do you transform emotional eating? Because that's the bottom line
That's huge. That's a huge topic.
Yeah, it's the bottom line of any kind of food issue, weight problem, unless it's a medical one. And there is a portion of that.
Can we talk about that, though? How do you address in the book how to transform emotional eating?
Yeah. So there's multi layers to that.
Okay.
On a very practical level, the way this book is written is it begins with my story, very candidly describing the triggers and situations and habits that I struggled with, because they're very common. It's garden variety emotional eating. So a lot of people, it's much easier for them to recognize themselves and have the courage.
Garden variety emotional eating, like it's a common thing for people.
If you're an emotional eater, I'm saying.
Yes.
There's a huge part of the population that isn't emotionally eating.
It is.
And it is.
Tell me, what is that? What is emotional eating? Like, you eat, as you say, you eat your feelings, you eat to try to suppress your feelings, you find something that's comfortable?
In the bottom line of emotional eating is eating for reasons other than physical nourishment, period.
Got it. It's eating for emotions.
Right?
Gotcha.
Food is for our body, for our physical well-being, for energy, for balance, for a number of different bodily functions, right? So when you're starting to eat more than your body needs, or indulging in rich foods, highly addictive foods. Now there's always a physical component and an emotional component, and that's why it's such a complex issue. And then when you go further, what triggers emotional eating is often unmet needs, and that could be anything from, romantic partnership needs is a huge one, but even feeling unfulfilled in your career,
Family stuff.
Family issues, having no sense of meaning and purpose to your life, any kind of not contributing, that's a real basic human need. Everybody needs to contribute.
Right.
And to feel like they're making a difference.
And purpose and meaning in life.
Exactly. So if they don't, so that might be someone's sole reason or basic emotional eating trigger.
Something that fills them instead of a purpose filling them.
Right,
Yes. Yep.
right. So in emotional eating, you're either eating to numb out,
Or to
avoid, or fill,
Or to
or
fill.
soothe, or just for the pure pleasure of eating. I mean, I love to eat. It's pleasurable
Yes.
to eat, right?
Yes.
So the book it begins with my story, and then each chapter focuses on a very specific situation with food that you become more aware of. For example, we have smart choices at the grocery store. Many of your choices begin with, do you put the chocolate chip cookies in your basket, or do you put a bag of pears, right? Because what you buy, you're more likely to eat,
Yes,
right? So
yes.
already, if you master that situation, you've already gotten through some of the temptations that you would normally have.
That's a great
in your
idea.
home.
Super practical.
Then we have cooking with creativity and love, because you need to find healthy ways, delicious ways to eat healthy food. Because, you know, if you just eat boiled eggs and steamed vegetables and celery sticks and cottage cheese,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You're not going to stick with it. So you need to get really creative, and because you want to enjoy food. It's not about restricting yourself and denying yourself of the pleasure. It's about really finding ways to meet all of your needs, to give your body what it needs, and yet also give that mouth sensation. And then a certain part of a healthy relationship with food is eating for emotional reasons sometimes. It's
Social
just
reasons, maybe.
social reasons, or just the pleasure of eating, sometimes drinking a glass of champagne and eating your brie with French baguette, you know, because you just like to do that.
Yes.
It's not the healthy
I think
thing,
that's
you know?
important,
Right.
because it gives you
It's
joy.
important, exactly. And that's
But
included.
a lot of the times, people will do that and feel guilt
Yeah,
and shame and remorse afterwards. And the idea is to really feel into enjoying the champagne and the brie and the baguette, and it's okay.
right,
And then the next day you eat healthy,
right, exactly.
and it's okay. It's resetting. I like the practicality of all of it, and then to really understand the deep emotion behind it.
Right, and then we've got overcoming cravings. We've got stopping when your body's had enough. Quantity is a huge thing.
That's an awareness thing, isn't it?
Yeah, really, that's a hard one. And then we've got eating healthy in social situations, not being influenced by everyone else. If everyone else is eating spaghetti, can you still enjoy the company and have a salad if that's what's right for you in that moment?
Yeah.
So it's and then the mindful eating, divine eating experience, I call it.
Nice.
So you're really targeting every single situation around food. Can you be aware in that moment? Can you connect with your natural body intelligence in that moment? Can you find other ways to fulfill your emotional needs, healthier ways?
Denial is so much easier.
Yeah.
You just escape and disconnect. With this way, you're really looking deeply into connecting and being aware of. Sometimes it's painful.
Yeah, it's painful.
What do you do with the pain when it comes up?
Well, there again, the heart comes. Because your heart transforms emotional pain.
Yeah.
In an amazingly powerful way. What tends to happen when we're in emotional pain, whether it's related to food or any other issue in your life, because we're talking about food, but you could apply that to many
PTSD,
different.
there's
right.
so many things. Yes.
Right, but what tends to happen, and that's a whole nother level of pain.
Well, we're going to talk about that. Yeah.
Right. But what tends to happen when we feel any kind of emotional pain is that we disconnect and withdraw. You know, we kind of try and numb out or avoid, pretend it's not there. But basically, the bottom line is we're trying to disconnect from pain. And the problem with that is we might, first of all, most of the time that doesn't work, or it's just a temporary fix. You know, when you overeat, you might mask it with a fullness in your belly, but the pain is right there underneath anyway.
And then there comes the craving. I need more salt.
Yeah,
I need more sugar. I need more fat.
Right. And so, so partially it doesn't work anyway. But what really the problem is that you disconnect from the pain, but you also disconnect from everything that's essential within you. So you disconnect from the love that you might be needing in that moment. And what the heart gives you, the same way it transforms judgment, and the same way it, you know, when you're in incessant thinking, reveals the peace that's naturally within you and centers you in your deeper nature, it also reveals the love that you're needing in that moment. You know, so instead of disconnecting from yourself, that's when you actually really need to open up and feel the pain.
Ooh.
Because the pain then, your perspective of the pain is more appropriate. You know, our reaction to our pain is disproportionate to just feeling a wave of pain. You know, ideally, you just open to a sensation of pain and you just feel it like a sensation of joy. It's just a different thing. Pain takes you very, very deep into your center. Joy is a much more outgoing, bright, expansive energy.
Pace.
Right.
Definitely is a different pace.
But pain can take you very deep. So there's a beauty in it. And when you do go with it, it takes you into dimensions inside that you were avoiding and wouldn't be able to connect with from just disconnecting from the minimal outer layer of pain. It's just an emotion is like a wave. It comes and goes.
It's a beautiful, beautiful perspective of pain, that it's just another emotion. And that if you give it heat, if you really
if you build the story around it. See, most of the suffering is the story, the meaning we associate with the pain.
Yes.
And then it becomes, I will always be this way, and I will never find a boyfriend, or whatever it is, rather than, oh, I feel lonely this evening.
Right.
Period. That's it. I feel lonely this evening. So,
yeah.
You know.
What about when you are, before you're watching the news or you're getting sucked into the chaos, as I'd mentioned earlier? Is there a way to disconnect, or not disconnect, but to feel into that so that you can feel compassion or go into action and make a difference, or even get to sleep or relax yourself?
Yeah. I mean, all those things arise naturally, just byproducts of meditation. You naturally feel more compassionate towards yourself and towards others. And then when you have a clarity about what you're able to contribute and how you can contribute, then you often will take effective action, just because once you have that clarity, you can't do anything but.
Yeah.
And then,
that's true.
You know, your response to the news and all the things that are happening in the world, that's what we can work on in meditation. You know, most of the time we can't change outer circumstances. You know, some people can.
Yeah, but the news is sometimes designed to get your attention so that you can wake up to the atrocities of the world. And then there's also good news.
Right.
That you can feel good about. So it talks about not getting hooked by everything. You can get hooked by your phone, social media. You can get hooked by so many different things unless you have this practice, this balance of evening it all out so that your body isn't under a constant state of stress.
Right. See, for me personally, I don't worry about the things I can't change. And that's just a personal choice that I have. I really recognize that I give wholeheartedly. I really show up. Every day I do maximum of what Tarika can contribute on planet Earth, and then I relax and feel okay about my contribution. And then, you know, but there's inescapable suffering and pain.
Yeah.
And that we can't avoid, and that we can't disconnect from. And I think one of the things that happens in meditation is you have more compassion naturally, but you feel the pain more deeply. You know, sometimes
or wholeheartedly.
Yeah. like I feel other people's pain.
Yes.
Sometimes as much as I feel my own.
Yes.
It doesn't affect me in the same way because, again, you're opening to what's going on in the world, but you're also opening to your deeper nature and all the resources that give you the capacity to respond to that in healthy ways.
Well, I'd love to know more about the process that you go through, and also we're going to give the audience a chance to experience this meditation as well. So we're going to show you something and invite you to just relax. And in just a minute, though, tell me a little bit about your technique and how it's different than some of the traditional meditation techniques.
Well, guided heart meditations, for one thing, is the foundation. And then I utilize a model that we created. So I work with my parents. They're my collaborators, my creative team.
That's great.
And it's really, you know, I'm continuing some of their life's work that they developed over 40 years and modernizing it. You know, it
You made an
needs
app,
to be.
which
Yes,
is great.
Yes, and so one of the models that we use is called the Circles of Life, which is a map of human consciousness, which guides people inwards based on, in the outer layer, the first thing you're aware of is your body, your thoughts, your mind, actions, you know, the activity you're engaged in. Mostly, like if you're going on a hike, for example, you're aware of hiking before you're aware of what you feel. Then as your awareness goes a little bit deeper, you become aware of what you're actually feeling. You know, there's countless times that I guide a meditation and someone like bursts into tears and they were fine when they walked in.
Yes.
Did
they
the
tapped into
meditation,
something.
yeah, the meditation didn't cause that. The meditation just got them quiet enough and in touch with themselves enough to feel what they were actually feeling and unaware of.
Isn't that great, though, that you can do that? That's something that sits there and festers that's so large that we spend all of our energy trying to suppress.
Right.
The minute you get quiet, which you're
Right.
trying to avoid all day,
Right.
it just releases.
And then it's not such a big deal.
Yes.
Exactly.
And then it's done.
Exactly. And then the next layer you come to is your deeper needs. You know, we talked about some of those that are connected to what your emotions or your purpose in life or fulfillment or your contribution. And then we go even a little bit deeper. We connect with our strengths. You know, how do we express love in the world?
Nice.
You know,
Yes.
and then we go a little bit deeper into essential qualities, deeper values that we all share. So we all connect in the same pool of love.
This is very empowering. I love it. I love this. It connects to a greater whole.
Yeah. And then, so all the things that we're seeking, you know, like love, peace, connection, creativity, strength, intuition, clarity, joy, gratitude, recognition, acknowledgement. You know, there's countless things that we're seeking outside of ourselves. From a meditator perspective, those qualities are within you. You are already love. You are already connected to the whole.
Nice. Is this part of the circle?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're getting
Nice.
almost to the center now.
Okay.
Essential qualities. And then one more layer in is your center, which people experience their center generally as a deep sense of peace, a deep sense of silence, stillness.
Yes.
Emptiness would be a word, like you're a hollow bamboo.
Expansiveness.
Expansive, timelessness. Those are all characteristics of being in your center, or feeling of coming home.
Are
feeling
people
deeply
speaking
rooted.
during the meditations, or this is all
No.
internal?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm speaking.
Right.
I'm
And
guiding them through this.
Do they share afterwards?
Yes. Yes.
Always, and that makes it. It
Well,
not only
it
brings
helps-
the community together, but it makes it real.
Yes, and it helps them to articulate their experience because a lot of it is beyond words, especially the deeper you go. So being able to articulate it and then hear each other's experience is very rich and engaging. And again, like you said, building a sense of community, and people feel much closer. You know, I work with groups ongoing, and an incredible intimacy and depth of understanding and appreciation of one another develops.
That's the team building part of it, huh?
Well, even, you know, the corporate work is just one element of my work, but, you know, I work with ladies groups, for example, ongoing groups of friends or mothers, you know, that their understanding and connection with each other just deepens and deepens.
Oh,
and
that's
this is over
beautiful.
years,
That's
you know, every
beautiful.
single week.
Do you think that doing these meditations could help, if you really focused a group, could it help reduce violence in the world? I know that Lynn McTaggart's done a great job with her intention experiments on really focusing on a specific result of reducing violence or something like. Have you experienced that?
You know,
On a micro level?
You know, I'm lucky that I don't attract the most violent people. I think, you know, someone who would.
No, I mean violence in a
massacre-
community.
Oh,
In the world. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that meditation would help reduce violence.
Definitely.
I think there's a lot of work to be done, though.
Yeah.
You know,
But can we meditate for a group of people that are in maybe another country that are war-torn and having a horrible experience? I mean, have you led group meditations to have that level of compassion for the world to help with the goal of reducing the violence?
Yeah, I would integrate, like, for example, in a compassion meditation, I would always start with self-compassion. Then I would expand out to have compassion to those that are close to you, maybe that are experiencing hardships, or people you have animosity with, you know, that's
Good.
a highly transformative
Great.
meditation, and then we would expand outwards on a global level.
Great.
I haven't guided specifically meditations to help reduce the violence in the world. It's a little bit bigger than what I want to take on
Right now.
right now.
Yeah, right. Tell me about what you have taken on with the app. Tell me what the app is and what purpose does that serve?
I love the app. I myself listen to those same meditations that I provide for others. I listen to my own meditations every single day.
Ah, great.
So I wouldn't put out anything less than what I would listen to.
Great.
And
What's it called?
Lovegarden Meditations.
Okay.
It's on the App Store or Google Play, or you can ask Alexa to play Lovegarden Meditations.
Okay.
And it's a series of meditations. They're 5 to 25 minutes long, so you have a choice in
great.
terms of the lengths, because a lot of people don't have that much time to meditate these days. So there's, and then each series is focused on, there's a morning meditation series, there's a sleep meditation series, there's a series on emotional intelligence, there's a series on love, there's a series on meditations on the fridge. This book is designed to go with a series of 6 guided meditations, because it's not enough to just read
Right.
and intellectually understand
You have
what
to
meditation
experience
is.
it.
It's a moment-to-moment experience. So the guidance really helps you to experience that fully.
Do you have a meditation that helps scan the body if you have pain or ailments?
Yeah, body mindfulness, I call
Right.
it. That's my version of body scanning. And it's also, again, connecting your body to your heart. And that makes it much easier to connect and feel what your body needs to release tension and stress, to relax with the pain. Again, the heart would change your response to the pain. I mean, sometimes you just need medication, obviously, you know, depending on your degree
Yeah.
of pain. But for milder
You can
types
really-
of pain, yeah.
Not control it, but de-escalate it with the mind and the center and the heart.
Yeah.
What about breath?
Breath I
Yes.
utilize in every single meditation that I do. I think the breath is an extremely powerful tool to transform your energy. The breath helps with transforming emotions. the emphasis on the breath, sometimes I would use to feel your heart, because there's a natural synchronicity between the energy of your heart and the breath.
Yes.
So that would help a person open their hearts to themselves, which is the most important thing, really, opening to yourself.
Yeah.
And then the rest is easier. And then we could utilize the breath to bring balance to different aspects of your life. For example, if we're focusing the breath on work-life balance, rest and movement, being active and non-active, you could utilize the breath to become balanced in relationship, the balance between closeness and separation coming together, and your own individuality.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, you could really link the breath to any issue in life, and utilize it in that way, or just, the real foundation, really, because, for example, the understanding of I am love, you are love, we are love, it sounds great.
Yeah, but unless you embody it, it's totally different.
How do you really experience it?
Yeah.
So the breath opens your sensitivity to feel. So in a guided meditation, you feel love. We might use memory to evoke certain states of love, or we might use visualization to evoke, imagery that brings a feeling of love. But then again, you come to the feeling of love.
Oh, see, I use visualization a lot.
Yeah.
That's an interesting distinction.
Then you want to include the feeling.
Yeah.
In your visual. So visualization is fantastic.
Yes.
And very effective, but then you can't forget to include, because love is really a feeling.
That's the special part of it. We're actually going to take a look here on one of Tarika's meditations and just enjoy it. Just watch and relax. Take a look.
Here Now Meditation by Tarika Lovegarden. Please find a comfortable position so that you feel supported and relaxed. I invite you to come into this moment, here now. Simply by noticing whatever is happening right now. Look around the room. Your eyes like windows, soft, receptive. As you close your eyes now, your awareness is naturally turning inward. Listening to the sounds of this music. My voice guiding you. There may be other sounds around you. As you continue to listen, feel your body. Feeling the support of the pillows or the chair. The softness or firmness. feeling the warmth or coolness in the room. Becoming present to whatever you're experiencing here now.
So you have a program that you teach at Stanford. Is this your, one of the ones that you teach is your personal GPS meditation. What is that? That sounds great.
Well, the personal GPS meditation is part of my Intuitive Intelligence series, so it's a 5-week course. It's offered for staff and faculty and community members of Stanford University.
Nice.
And the inner GPS meditation is about accessing your intuitive intelligence, which is a very balanced combination of logic and intuition. And so a big part of that is, first of all, just learning how does your intuition communicate with you. So you mentioned you use visualization a lot.
Yes.
So that would be one of your ways, I would imagine, one of the primary ways your intuition communicates with you, just through talking to you. But some people might experience their intuition as an inner voice, or they might get a feeling in their body, or they might just feel a yes to something.
I have to see it.
Yeah.
Visually.
So you might see, if you're thinking about a particular choice in your life, you might see either a green light or a red light, for instance.
Yes.
So partially it's learning how your intuition communicates with you. That's the first step. But then the bigger piece is trusting those intuitive signals. And again, especially when you're making big life decisions, I never recommend for anyone to just go based on hunches. We're really doing your research, utilizing the analytical capacities of the mind, you know, because the evaluative function is actually very good. You know, that we're talking about the root of judgment, without the charge around it, can be very accurate assessments of yourself or others or situations in your life. So we're never throwing that out. We're just building upon that by accessing multiple sources of information from around you and within you, which I would label as your intuitive intelligence. So the inner GPS gives you a really sharp ability to navigate based on what's most important to you in your life and what do you really value. Because you believe it or not, people don't even know what they value.
Yes,
They're chasing after things that once they achieve them, they feel completely empty inside. So that's another component.
Puts you in touch with so many morality, and it's so important to understand what value is. You don't hurt people when you really know about value.
Right, and then how to navigate when you have conflicting values in a situation, for example. You know, in relationships, one of the basic ones is, you know, do I take care of my own needs?
Yes.
Or do I show up and compromise in healthy ways to make my partner feel loved and supported in that moment, for example.
Same with parenting.
Yeah, same with parenting, exactly. So that would be included in that. And then also trusting, first of all, most of it is self-trust, because when you're placing your trust on another person, you're oftentimes disappointed. You know, your expectations of how you want them to be aren't getting fulfilled, and that blinds you to really see who they are. So you're really, you know, in trusting another person, you're really trusting your own impulses of that person. You're trusting yourself.
That's such a valuable tool as well. There's so many values in meditation we've talked about here, and learning how to really work with your emotions, not to be hooked by them. And it goes to everything with anger or with relationships or with food or anything. In this show, I like to do a segment called the Aware News. And in this segment, I talk about current events and how it relates to what we're talking about in the show today in order to provide more possibilities and solutions for a better world. And according to newscientist.com, using a meditation app each day may improve your memory and attention. So they used an EEG to track brain waves, and the group who meditated 20 to 30 minutes a day were less distracted. Have you found this with your students?
Absolutely. I mean, particularly when you're really connecting with what's important to you on a daily basis, you're able to prioritize very quickly. Where do I focus my time and attention? Is this giving me what I want right now?
Yeah.
So you do become much more focused on what's really important to you.
Great. Yeah, that's super important. I thank you so much for all of this information and for helping us understand the benefits of meditation, not to just clear your head, but really to go into your heart, to expand feelings, to become a lot less hooked by them and the meaning that you give them, and to really lower the blood pressure. It goes back to the beginning and all the things that meditation helps with.
Right.
Focus, guidance, purpose, neutrality, love, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for being a part of this program. If you'd like to watch more inspirational programming, you can check out my website at theawareshow.com, or you can reach out to me on Facebook at Lisa Garr Host. And until next time, I invite you to stay aware.